Will and Jada Pinkett Smith were long romanticized in Hollywood as the perfect couple. They proved that it's possible for two people to be incredibly successful A-list celebrities and raise a stable family who all love each other. We now know that was all a lie. The Smith family was an image, carefully crafted to look like the perfect family, while it was an utter mess on the inside. And over the past few years, all of their deepest secrets have been revealed to the entire world. Once you hear the full story, your opinions of Will and Jada might change, because we are going to dive deep and look at every detail that built up to one of the most catastrophic, confusing, and preventable marriages of all time. Starting with the fact that Jada didn't want to be with Will in the first place. In 1994, Will Smith was married to his now ex-wife Cherie Zampino. They also had a 2-year-old son named Trey, but Will was spending a lot of time with actress Jada Pinkett despite having a wife and baby at home. Jada auditioned for a role in season 5 of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which was arguably the most influential and popular 90s sitcom in history. The New York Times said The Fresh Prince had put rap into the mainstream. Every week, nearly 20 million viewers tuned in to see Smith and the Banks family, with a quarter of the national television audience watching at its peak. Jada auditioned to be Will's girlfriend, Lisa, and came close to booking the role but didn't because producers thought Jada looked too short when sharing the screen with Will. The role ultimately went to Nia Long, who was just 2 inches taller than Jada. Will tried to approach Jada to console her. She shrugged him off, but he says it was love at first sight. The two say Will did not have an affair, but Will was head over heels for another woman that wasn't his wife. We sat down at the Baked Potato and talked. There was a really unique, beautiful power. We had that moment and we connected, but I was married. Funny enough, this wasn't the first time Will fell in love with someone that wasn't his wife. He admits in his memoir that he fell in love with his co-star, Stockard Channing, while filming 1993's 6 Degrees of Separation. Will's unfaithful tendencies are not that surprising considering he was a 6'2", 25-year-old movie star, television star, and rap star, but it was an early sign that maybe marriage wasn't for him. Will claims he never would have divorced his wife Cherie if she didn't initiate it first. We were at the Palm and I remember I had to get up from dinner when I had a realization that I wasn't with the person I was supposed to be with. Will rushed to the bathroom in the Palm and broke down in tears. His marriage eventually reached a breaking point and Cherie filed for divorce on Valentine's Day in 1995. Cherie filed for a divorce, rightfully. She called herself my placeholder wife. She said that she just had to be there to hold the position of wife in Will Smith's perfect life. The most important takeaway from this is Will's willingness to remain in a marriage that he was not emotionally invested in for the sake of maintaining his image to the world, something that would not change with Jada. Jada obviously was interested in Will, but her own morality tried to convince him to fight for his family and make things work. However, Will proceeded with the divorce and contacted Jada the moment he signed the divorce papers, saying, "I literally walked right out from signing the divorce papers and I called Jada. I said, 'Hey Jada, what's up? It's Will.' She said, 'Hey, how you doing?' I said, 'Good. Are you seeing anybody?' She said, 'No.' And I said, 'Cool. You're seeing me now.' Jada went along with it because her life was about to fall apart. Jada's mother, Adrienne, became pregnant in high school and gave birth to Jada at a very young age. Growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, Jada witnessed her mother endure domestic abuse from her father. One night it got so bad that Adrienne temporarily fled from their home. Her parents' marriage was short-lived and they divorced after several months. As a teenager struggling to raise a child, Adrienne dealt with a heroin addiction for most of Jada's childhood. I could tell when my mother was high. She couldn't make it on time to pick me up from school. Or she's nodding off, falling asleep in the middle of something. Jada's environment and upbringing led to her encountering drugs, becoming a dealer at just 14 years old. She was living a double life, going to Baltimore School for the Arts during the day and dealing at night. Her mother eventually put her foot down and convinced Jada to clean up her act. Jada responded by graduating high school before enrolling at the North Carolina School of the Arts. She dropped out of college after 1 year to move to Los Angeles and pursue an acting career. Jada's talent and good looks landed minor roles in TV shows like 21 Jump Street and Doogie Howser MD, before producer Debbie Allen gave her a consistent role on A Different World, which blew her up. From there, she landed a reoccurring role on The Cosby Show, but her role as Ronnie, the love interest in Menace to Society, made her culturally beloved since hip-hop fans loved that movie. Jada successfully made it out of the struggle, but she was still not happy.
My career is popping. I got money. I'm hot.
People are pursuing you.
I got every dude everywhere wanting, you know what I mean? Like, I can have anybody I want. Why am I not happy?
This is when Will came along, and she latched onto him hoping that he would make her happy again. At that time, Will hadn't finalized his divorce with Cherie, meaning he and Jada kept their relationship under wraps. We were both pretty famous and we felt like it just wouldn't have been a great look. They indulged in an unpredictable, secretive rendezvous that sounds like it was taken straight out of a movie. The couple traveled to exotic secret getaways, from Cabo to private Caribbean islands, Aspen, and secluded estates in Maui. Capitalizing on his success on The Fresh Prince, they took advantage of private air travel and regularly used aliases to check into hotels. We fit together so naturally, and our energies combined exponentially in a way that felt like old friends more than new lovers. We had an unspoken language, and everything we focused on flourished. This romantic, adventurous fling would come to a screeching halt whenever the marriage conversation popped up. Jada didn't believe in a conventional marriage and despised a traditional ceremony. She also had questions about the viability of monogamy as a framework for a successful long-term relationship. Despite the obvious warning sign of trying to settle down with a woman who does not want to, Will did not let that stop him. From an early point in their relationship, their suitability was questionable at best, but now Jada was pregnant, and Will's determination to get married overpowered Jada's personal beliefs. "I never wanted to get married," Jada revealed, "but my mother was like, you have to get married. She's so old school, and Will wanted a family, so I said, alright, maybe it's something I should do." Even Jada's grandmother called Will and cried her freaking eyes out, so then I had to have a wedding, and that was infuriating. According to Will, Jada held her ground as long as she could, but the wedding pressure, likely from family and friends, became too much. She was in her second trimester, she was tired and uncomfortable, and didn't want to argue, so she surrendered. And the couple married on New Year's Day in 1997 in a private ceremony in Baltimore, Maryland. However, everyone at the ceremony seemed ecstatic, besides the bride.
And I was so upset that I had to have a wedding. I was so pissed.
We
went crying down the freaking aisle.
Oh, getting married.
Cried the whole way.
And I was
down
like,
the aisle.
I was like,
And Will was
hey.
like, hey. I was like,
She'll be all right, don't worry.
Jada referred to the ceremony as Grammy's wedding because Jada's grandmother was more excited than her. While the event itself was joyful and heartwarming, this would be the first of many compromises Jada would make over the years that painfully negated her own values. She had boarded the Will train, and there was no way off. But why was she so against the idea of marriage?
I just never really agreed with the construct.
Exactly.
I just don't agree with it. I never have, I still don't.
Yeah.
Till death do us part is real for me. It's just all of the rules and
It's
all
like
of the
you're supposed
ideas.
to do this
Right.
as a wife. You're
You
supposed
know,
to do this
yeah,
as a husband. You're supposed to do this.
Instead of
Right.
really
And what you
just
can't do.
And what you can't do,
exactly,
right, absolutely.
Because of this title, wife is a
The
very
defi- the-
difficult.
the accepted conventional definition
conventional definition
of a
of
wife,
wife.
right.
The paradigm.
In the
Yes.
paradigm, I'm not that.
Then Will goes on to say why he wanted a marriage so badly.
I don't know if I've ever said this. You know how I'm a scientist, so everything is science for me.
Yes.
I read something when we first got together that the most successful men in history have been married.
Right.
I knew that I would squander my life if I was running around.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way my mind works, I can only excel for a woman.
When the woman who does not believe in the basic fundamentals of a marriage gets coerced to marry a man who only wants a wife so he doesn't derail his perfect career, what could possibly go wrong? I'm having a lot of fun playing fantasy sports these days, and that's where today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, comes in. Underdog is the easiest way to play fantasy sports. Not just football, you can make picks on baseball, basketball, hockey, UFC, and more. Just pick whether you think your player's stats will be higher or lower, and you can make big money. You can make your own entry with as few as 2 picks and 3 times your money, or go bigger and win up to 20 times. Right now, Underdog is giving new customers a special pick for Patrick Mahomes. All he needs to do is have 1 yard to win. Here are my picks for week 11 of the NFL season, and if I hit all of them, I'll 3 times my money. I've got a special promo. Underdog is offering new users a $100 deposit match. That's right, $100. Underdog's pick'em games are available in 30 plus states including California, Texas, and even Canada. All you have to do is click the link below or download Underdog via the App Store and use code PatrickCC. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PatrickCC for a first deposit match worth up to $100. It makes watching the NFL more interesting for me, so rep your team and make your own picks with Underdog. The couple welcomed their son, Jaden Christopher Sire Smith, on July 8, 1998, and their daughter, Willow Camille Rain Smith, on October 31st, 2000. The perfect couple now has the perfect family, a little boy and a little girl. Will continued to dominate Hollywood with hits like Men in Black and the Bad Boy series, as well as Ali and I, Robot. But Will's perfect family needed the perfect home, a 256-acre mansion that Will desired but Jada despised. She expressed how it was too big, too expensive, and too much space. But Will's dreams couldn't be compromised, and he bought it anyway. Nothing good comes from spending your hard-earned money on a family home that your wife doesn't want. You are putting a down payment on discord, and for years you will be paying off a mortgage of misery, or worse. From the moment he stepped foot in Hollywood, Will made a deliberate effort to become the biggest movie star in the world, and he did achieve one of the most commercially successful runs in cinema history. Independence Day, Men in Black, Hancock, I Am Legend, Hitch, Shark Tale, Pursuit of Happiness are just a few of the multiple $100 million franchises he starred in. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had truly transformed into the king of Hollywood, but his legacy extended beyond the silver screen. He ventured into producing films through his production company, Overbrook Entertainment, and continued to push the boundaries of his acting career. Will became widely regarded as a highly skilled and versatile actor. His acting abilities earned him critical acclaim, numerous awards and nominations, and a massive fan following all over the world. By the 2010s, Will had solidified his name as one of the greatest actors of his generation. Jada and Will were seen as a beacon of real love in this chaotic industry, yet Will's career outshined hers so much that she was starting to be known as just Will Smith's wife, which is kind of what he wanted. Jada only appeared in low-budget films and Will's music videos until landing more substantial roles as Niobe in the Matrix series and Gloria in Madagascar. To make the resentment even stronger, Jada's children were becoming superstars in their own right. Willow's music career started off on fire with Whip My Hair peaking at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100. Jaden starred in two massive box office hits, The Pursuit of Happiness and The Karate Kid. In 2009, Barack Obama accepted his Nobel Peace Prize, which was presented by the Smiths, and the only interview he would do was with Will and Jada.
Externally, our family was winning, and there was a period mommy woke up and cried 45 days straight. I started keeping a diary.
You missed some days.
It was every morning. I think that's the worst I've ever felt in our marriage. I was failing miserably. But on the outside, I was winning.
But all of the money, fame, and success came at the cost of deteriorating their relationship. In his memoir, Will detailed he and Jada's greatest argument that stemmed from a list of priorities each wrote independently, then shared with one another. In order of importance, Jada's priorities were the children, Will, herself, and extended family and friends. On the other hand, Will wrote himself, Jada, the children, and his career. Jada was devastated to read Will prioritize himself over Trey, Jaden, and Willow. He explained that if he doesn't take care of himself first, he couldn't provide for the rest of his family. But the damage was already done. Her heart was shattered. She didn't even wipe the tears. Jada stuck around in this marriage, that she never wanted in the first place, so long because of her kids and the pressure to maintain the image created around the Smiths. On one hand, I wanted a career. I'd worked so hard and yet there I was, strung out on having to make decisions based on that, and it was too difficult. Should I be a star? Should I be a mom? A wife? You can't be all three. Something has to give.
Did you ever feel like Jada was ungrateful?
Hell yeah.
Look at everything that I've done for you.
Yes. That was another
You
thing.
ungrateful.
But that was the other thing, because there were times I felt ungrateful. Because I was like, look at your life.
Yes.
How could you be so unhappy? I used to think I was crazy.
Even Will's children realized they were failing. Will recalled a moment where he was eating ice cream in the kitchen with his daughter and wife. Willow turned to Jada and said, "It's so sad. Daddy has a picture of a family in his mind, and it's not us." This unstable relationship could not last, and in 2011, they reached a tipping point. In August 2011, rumors began that Jada was having an affair with Mark Anthony, her co-star on Hawthorne. At the time, Anthony was the subject of many tabloids following his public separation from Jennifer Lopez. However, Jada's rep released a statement saying, "All of the rumors regarding Mark Anthony and Jada are false." But the straw that finally broke the camel's back was during Jada's 40th birthday celebration. Will had started prepping for Jada's 40th 3 years earlier. He invited hundreds of guests, friends, family, other celebrities to a weekend-long celebration in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Mary J. Blige performed, and the guests were in awe of this beautiful celebration Will curated. But the 3-year-long surprise was a documentary Will made tracing Jada's family lineage back to slavery. Will resurfaced unseen pictures, found family members, and found a recording of her late beloved grandmother that she and her family had never heard before. These were very deep and personal messages from her grandmother that he broadcasted to hundreds of people at the party. The entire place is in tears. Her family, my family, everybody. All except Jada. She sat motionless, refusing to make eye contact with me. The video ends, family and friends erupt in a standing ovation. That night, Jada demanded that they cancel the rest of the weekend. Will said no, and she finally erupted.
I'll cancel tomorrow. She was like, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Right? And she's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego.
Woo.
Crushed, right? And to this day, I know I was crushed because it was true.
Yeah.
It wasn't a party for her.
Yeah.
And when she called me on that, that's when I snapped. And
Years later, Will admits he wasn't doing this gesture for Jada, but at the time he couldn't understand what he may have done wrong. When they returned to Los Angeles, they separated, and he said to Jada, "I retire from trying to make you happy. You are free. You need to go make yourself happy and prove to me that it's even possible. But I quit. You go do you, and I'ma go do me." They didn't file for divorce, and they didn't announce to the public that they were separated, which would cause confusion for years to come. According to Will, he and Jada didn't reunite romantically until November 2016, which would mean that they were technically separated from September 2011 to November 2016. Will and actress Margot Robbie began working together on the set of the crime drama Focus. Insiders claimed Will and Margot were getting close on set, even skipping the wrap party to hang out in Will's trailer. Star magazine added fuel to the fire, reporting a photo booth incident where Will appeared shirtless, and Margot lifted her shirt to reveal lingerie. According to the source, Will appeared as if he was not married. The public assumed he and Margot were either having an affair or that he and Jada were in an open relationship. We now know that he and Jada were separated, and in 2013, Jada responded to the rumors, almost letting the cat out of the bag. He can do whatever he wants because at the end of the day, Will is his own man. This statement further confused the public, who took it as confirmation of an open relationship. Jada later rewrote her statement on Facebook saying, "Here's how I will change my statement. Will and I both can do whatever we want because we trust each other to do so. This does not mean we have an open relationship. This means we have a grown one." Margot addressed the rumors on Twitter. "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous rumor in Star Mag. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context. Their relationship remained estranged behind the scenes, but in public, Will and Jada continued showing up to red carpet events and award shows together hand in hand. To make things even more confusing, she said this on Queen Latifah's show in 2014.
Jada would come into my trailer and tell me, girl, she was in love.
Yes. And
With
still
Will.
am.
And still are.
Yeah.
Followed up by an interview on Howard Stern a few months later where she said,
Here's what's real. I'm not the kind of woman that believes that a man is not going to be attracted to other women. I'm just not that girl. It's
Right.
just not realistic, right?
Right.
And just because your man is attracted to another woman does not mean he doesn't love you.
Right.
That's not what
But
it
he
means.
can't-
And it doesn't mean he's going to act on it.
By this point, Jada had said enough to make everyone believe that they were in an open relationship, which would get even more complicated when Jada got into her infamous entanglement with August Alsina. But before we jump into that, let me just clarify a few things. It's important to understand that Will says they separated in 2011 after Jada's 40th birthday disaster, but Jada says they separated in 2016. That's a huge difference, and we don't really know why they say two different things. Now in 2018, Jada and Will started sharing a lot of their life on social media. Will started posting vlogs on YouTube, and Jada started hosting a podcast/talk show on Facebook called Red Table Talk, alongside her mother and daughter. Jada gave her hundreds of thousands of viewers insight into her life and relationship, and it was around this time when people started to realize the Jada and Will love was mostly a facade. More specifically, in episodes 11 and 12, which featured Will, accumulated tens of millions of views. These episodes covered a lot of the information that you learned in this video. People were amazed at their open and honest communication, but they were talking about their relationship like they were divorced, and they were also not wearing wedding rings. They even say that they aren't married anymore. They claim they are life partners and have redefined the definition of husband and wife to fit their unique union. June 21st, 2020 was another episode where Will and Jada sat down and did another extremely deep dive into their marriage. They laughed, cried, and seemed like the most normal version of themselves. And if you're confused, feeling, are they married, are they separated, are they divorced? That's literally how everyone else felt. But just 8 days after Will and Jada's beautiful one-on-one discussion, August Alsina shared news about his relationship with Jada that would shock the world.
I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. He gave me his blessing. And I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life. And I truly and really, really deeply loved and have a ton of love for her.
August admits that not only did he fall head over heels into deep love with Jada, but he even had a conversation with Will about it and received his approval. This led to people calling Will a CUCK, but others just looked at it as an open relationship. The discourse online about it made Jada and Will sit down on her Red Table Talk show 3 weeks after August broke the news, where they attempted to address all the rumors, but it just got worse. Jada sits down in front of Will and tells her all about her friendship with August. August was a 23-year-old up-and-coming R&B singer from New Orleans, creating straight-up baby-making bangers. He had been suffering from a severe autoimmune disease that attacked his liver. The illness led to multiple incidents, including a collapse on stage in 2014, which ended up in a 3-day coma. In 2015, he battled a degenerative eye disease that nearly caused him to go blind. When he met the Smith family, through befriending Jaden, August was at a very low point in his life. Jada seemingly took her friend's son under her wing with the intention of helping him heal, but it progressed into a full-blown relationship. They also mentioned that August came into their life when Jada and Will were broken up.
I really felt like we could be over.
We were over.
And then what did you do, Jada? I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship.
Based on Will's tone and his demand for Jada to admit it was a relationship, it seemed like he was still upset even though this had happened more than 4 years ago.
Because I wasn't sure I was ever going to speak to you again.
I know.
Yeah, like the fact that I'm speaking to you again is a miracle.
I would agree.
No, but it ain't for the weak at heart.
There seemed to be a little bit more pain in Will's voice. Will's obvious distress became a huge meme online because, again, nobody knew the long history of their complicated life partnership. All they thought was Will Smith's wife just got him on a podcast to tell him how much she loved another man. But there's a really interesting part of this interview that most people missed.
I'm gonna get you back first, and then...
You gonna get me back. I think you got me back. I think we're good on that, okay?
Okay, that's probably true.
Will jokingly said he is gonna get her back, but then immediately admits that he probably had this coming after all these years of Jada putting up with him. What he did not realize is that he would not stop being an embarrassment after this moment. It was only going to get worse. On March 27th, 2022, Will and Jada attended the 2022 Oscars together. That night, Will was nominated for Best Actor for his portrayal of Richard Williams in the biographical sports drama King Richard. However, things took a strange turn after Chris Rock made a joke about Jada, who has spoken openly about having alopecia, a hair loss condition. Chris compared Jada to Lieutenant Jordan O'Neill, the star of G.I. Jane, notorious for her short buzz-cut hairstyle. Will initially laughed, but then made it clear he didn't appreciate the joke as he stormed on stage and smacked Chris before telling him to keep my wife's name out of his mouth. From the silence of the audience and the look on Chris's face, it seems like the reaction was 100% unscripted. Despite this encounter, Chris didn't press charges, and Will won his first Oscar for Best Actor on the night of controversy. This slap ignited the highest overall engagements on Twitter in history, and basically nobody was on Will's side. They pointed out he was initially laughing, then changed his demeanor once he saw Jada was upset. They used the entanglement situation to justify that Will is just Jada's puppet that does whatever she says. However, even Jada was confused by what Will did and said because she is not his wife.
I had no idea that was none whatsoever. And I came as family. I actually didn't go to the Oscars as Will's wife. And I know for people that's weird, but what was going on behind the scenes, Will and I had been like we weren't living as husband and wife since 2016. I was happy he asked me to go.
The slap was clearly pent-up anger from Will over the past 25 years. Jada never wanted marriage. Will wanted it, and everything went his way for the first 15 years. He got her everything he thought she wanted, the house, the fame, the money, the kids, but Will still didn't feel like she loved him. But Will was not going to get divorced again, as he saw his first divorce as his life's biggest failure.
In my adult life.
Yeah.
Divorce was the ultimate failure for me.
Yeah.
I've been hurt a lot in my adult life, but I don't think anything touches the failure of getting divorced.
He became desperate to make this marriage work, even though Jada never wanted it. Then once the 40th birthday situation didn't work, where he attempted to win back Jada's love, he said, "Okay, I've tried everything and you still are not happy. We're done, go be happy." But once she did that with August, he didn't like that either. And it seems like since then, Will has just been coping with this life partnership confusing half-open marriage thing, as he goes on podcasts talking about how marriage is a spiritual journey, and writing in his memoir about how his ego destroyed them and Jada was just riding the Will train, which was fine until he got embarrassed in front of the whole world with the entanglement situation and reading everyone calling him a CUCK. Maybe the slap was him trying to, yet again, win back her love, show Jada that he is her protector. No man is going to talk about my wife like that, only for her to say, "Wife? I'm not your wife since 2016, and I never wanted to marry you." But today, Jada just keeps dumping salt on Will's wounds. She just released her memoir, Worthy, which spends a ton of time confessing a deep love and admiration for her late friend, Tupac Shakur. Jada and Tupac met in high school in the 10th grade, but also went to college at the Baltimore School for the Arts. Jada says they immediately connected on a deep level when he said to her, "You're a beautiful woman, you're talented, you're strong, and I respect you. And you are my girl. You're gonna sit right here and I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna make sure if nothing else you get what you need." At the time, Jada was still freshly removed from her traumatic childhood and rough neighborhood, while Tupac was still an innocent, bright-eyed kid who enjoyed studying, acting, poetry, and ballet. As time went on, their roles reversed, with Jada explaining how she was coming out of this life and he was going more into the life. By the early 90s, Tupac left the East Coast for the West Coast with aspirations of becoming a rapper. As his career was beginning to take off, so was Jada's. We were always trying to look for opportunities to work together. It was because of Pac that I got Menace to Society, and we were always looking out for each other like that. Now Jada says her and Tupac were never romantically involved, but the way she talks about him makes people think otherwise.
We definitely had this beautiful closeness that was really intimate, but never physically intimate. When you can sit with somebody and really feel like they see you, they understand you, they care about you, and they're gonna be there by you no matter what. That was Tupac.
But it's also important to recognize that Jada has been talking about Tupac for years.
That was a huge loss in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he was one of those people that I expected to be here. And my upset is more anger.
I mean, it was beyond friendship for us, you know, as far as just, it's really difficult to explain because the type of relationship we had, you only get that once in a lifetime, so.
A lot of people try to negate her relationship with Tupac, but it was real, and even people who were close to Pac say that he felt a strong love for her as well.
Jada Pinkett. Jada's my heart, you know what I mean? She will be my friend for my whole life. She can have my one heart, my liver, my lungs, my kidneys, my blood, marrow, all of that.
But if you compare the way she talks about Will versus Pac, it starts to seem like Tupac truly captured her heart, and Will could never live up to those standards.
What made you fall in love with him?
I would say Will came at a time in my life where he saw beauty in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. And, you know, he saw a diamond in the rough and he kind of picked me up and blew off all the dust and said, "I'm telling you, I'm going to make you shine, girl."
Well, you certainly did, looking at that rock.
Right, exactly. And I was going through a really rough time. And, you know, he created a safe space for me.
Nothing about Will's personality got her to fall in love with him. It was the stability he provided. But even Will admits that he was resentful of Jada's love for Tupac.
Were you ever jealous of the love Jada had for Tupac?
Yeah.
I know you're gonna say no.
Oh my God, that dude. And you know, and that was in the early days. She just loved him like he was the image of perfection. But she was with the Fresh Prince, you know. So it was like I never could, like, even we were in a room together a couple times. I couldn't speak to him, you know. And, he wasn't going to speak to me if I wasn't going to speak to him.
Really?
He also wrote in his memoir, "I hated that I wasn't what he was in the world, and I suffered a raging jealousy. I wanted Jada to look at me like that." Even Will's daughter was aware of how much Tupac meant to Jada. In 2012, when Willow was 11 years old, she posted a picture of the letter she had previously written to Tupac. The letter read, "Dear Tupac, I know you are alive someplace. I think my mommy really misses you. Can you please come back? Can you come back so mommy and me can be happy? I wish you were here. I really do. Love, Willow." Many people consider Jada to be toxic, ungrateful, and unappreciative of Will Smith, who is perceived to be a great man, father, and husband. Some people say Will is a pathetic coward who constantly lets his partner publicly embarrass him. Will knew what he was getting into. He knew all about Tupac. He knew Jada didn't want marriage, yet he still pursued it, and she rode for him for more than a decade. Now today, I guess they're separated. I think. They've made it very clear that they are never going to file for divorce, but that doesn't mean that they're still together. Their newfound, confusing life partnership is, well, I don't even think they know what it is. One thing that is very apparent about these two is they use this relationship to prophesize themselves. Them opening up about their marriage is somehow seen as more brave and more complicated than any of us since they are rich and famous, which to some degree is true, since millions and millions of people indulge in their marriage. But all this does is 1, make them more money, and 2, fill their egos to the brim thinking that they have some divine purpose to open up on behalf of all of the broken relationships and marriages in the world. Ironically, I think most of the people who made it all the way to this point in the video agree that they do not, under any circumstance, want the type of relationship that Jada and Will have.